And hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for today. We are going to go ahead and get started. And anyone who just joined us, if you could just tell us where you're joining us from, we're very excited to get started. All right. So today is our end of product overview webinar. So we just want to thank you so much for joining us. And we really just wanted to take the time to summarize another great year with CodeMonkey. We want to share with you some product enhancements and new features that will make your life easier and hopefully a little bit more enjoyable while using CodeMonkey. We'll do our best to answer any live tweets during today's webinar. Please remember to also share in the chat box or in the Q&A. And if we don't answer your questions immediately, we will make sure to get to them today during today's Q&A. So if we don't answer you right away and you pop that question in the Q&A box, we will answer it. We do have some time for Q&A at the end today. And if we don't, then we'll make sure that we follow up with you via email. Following today's webinar, a survey will pop up. And once you take the survey, a professional development certificate will be emailed to you for your time today. So let's go ahead and let's get ready to write code, catch bananas. And today we're going to spread the word. So be sure to, if you aren't already, follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can also join our Facebook PLN group. So this is a group that we started this past year. And in the group, we share teaching tips and just if we have any new features or anything like that, we do have the place and space for you to speak about that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to introduce ourselves to you and who you'll be spending your time with today. So my name is Lena Saleh. If you haven't met me before, I am the Professional Development and Sales Manager here at CodeMonkey. I spent about 10 years in the classroom and doing different things in that realm, and I've been with CodeMonkey now for 3.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dor. You don't see me, but you can hear me. I'm the Customer Success Manager at CodeMonkey. I'm working closely with Lena and the entire team here at CodeMonkey to make sure that CodeMonkey is top-notch for all of you teachers and your students, of course. So enjoy the webinar today.
Thank you, Dor. And it's nice to see some familiar faces here joining us today. Okay, so what are we going to be covering today? So today we're going to go over some new content, some teacher capabilities that we changed, as well as some administration capabilities, student-facing design, and like I mentioned, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. So some of our most recent content that we have added is we did launch this during the Hour of Code, but we have our space adventure. And so that's available for an hour of code. And so I'll just pause this really quick. Okay, and so with the space adventure, you are with our space monkey and you're moving him. The students are working through the challenges here to get the monkey to the banana, but in space, using the same CoffeeScript language that's just as familiar as coding adventure. And our next, and then the next thing we're going to talk about is our new addition, which is our Beaver Achiever challenges. And we're really excited about this new addition to Beaver Achiever. So Beaver Achiever used to have 3 courses, and each one were about 55 challenges all in. And now we have 115 challenges. And so here on Beaver Achiever, in the first one, we have beyond challenge 20 is when they start to really do nested loops. And here you can see it's just a little bit more robust in nature. So we heard feedback from you and we listened. And so we added some different challenges in part 2 of Coding Adventure. Part 2 of Beaver Achiever. The beaver we helped to build the beaver's home. So in the first beginning challenges, they built the walls of the house, and now the students will work on building the roof. And in the last one, the Beaver Achiever has had so many responses and his business has been so busy that now he is able to have a factory. And so they're working with different conditions, if, else, and or. And so just really expanding upon that knowledge of which they had gathered in the beginning. In addition to that, we will be, I'll be discussing a little bit more things that we'll be adding to Beaver Achiever. So now let's talk about some of the features that we've added for the teachers. So now there is an ability to export data to a CSV file. So that means that you can generate a report for all of the CodeMonkey courses and not just for coding adventure. So before, when you would generate export the data to a CSV, you would see just specific to a specific, you would see everything all at once. And now you can actually specifically see everything specific to that course. So when I export the data to a CSV file, I can actually select the course. I can do a specific activity report, and I can also include archived classrooms. A lot of teachers were saying that some of the classrooms that they had archived, they still wish that they could see the data. And so now you can actually see all of the data here. So when you export this to a CSV file, then you're able to see the usage, the activity for the specific classroom, for all of the data, and see how much activity. We know that that was a feature that was, oops, I see I'm not sharing. I see that that was a feature. Door, was I not showing the Beaver Achiever challenges?
Challenges we saw, yes.
Okay, good. So here in the, in the export CSV file, you were, we heard from teachers during the remote learning experience that you weren't able to see the full activity. So we just wanted to make sure that you were able to see that full activity and actually be able to pull it specific to a course and have a little bit deeper dive into what it is that they were there. And so Dora is actually going to share a link for you in the chat box for you to be able to do that as well. The next change that we also made here was the ability to search specifically for students. And so we heard you on this. And so when we're in the classrooms area, we know that some of you have hundreds of students, and so it may be difficult to find one. So you can search for a specific student. And when you do, you can see the specific classroom, and you can actually go, you can see their display name, their username, and you can go actually to that specific classroom, and it'll take you direct to the classroom list, which is a really great feature, something that was requested by all of you to be able to quickly search for those students and have that easier capability. Okay, then another change that we made here was the student activity dashboard. And in the student activity dashboard, so prior to that, we had the progress page, which we all know and love, and we actually added a little bit more additions here. Now, when you click on a specific student, you are able to see the full student activity. So you can see how many solutions, how many courses, how many games and challenges they created, and their specific proficiency. So in the classroom, in the grid book, you can see the full classroom proficiency table, but here you can see it specific to students. So you can see how active they were in the past 7 days, as well as their course progress. You can easily navigate between the courses and see how far and how much they've completed. You can also, up here, you can also toggle between the students, so you can see how much time people were spending on the course and how many challenges they've seen. So just an easier way to navigate between each of those. In addition to the student activity, this is something that we did add last year, and we shared about it in some of our office hours, but we wanted to make sure that you were able to do this to understand this new feature as well. So previously, when you would be in the My Classrooms page, was the only way that you would be able to previously navigate between the courses. Now, once you have a class and you're inside of your classroom, you can navigate between the classrooms by clicking the drop down arrow, and that will take you between the classrooms. You can also, previously you could navigate by course, and now you can also navigate by classroom. So that's an extra helpful thing to make hopefully your lives a little bit easier. And the proficiency table, which I just mentioned, how do you access the proficiency table? Well, when you are in the gradebook itself, so you can see now in the progress page, the specific proficiency table for that student, but to see the proficiency table for your whole classroom, you would go into the gradebook, and up here at the top, there's a little tab here, and you click on proficiency, and that's going to give you the proficiency for all of your students. And that's going to be able to cover all of the topics. That's going to cover all of the topics that are covered throughout Coding Adventure. So here you can see all of the concepts that are covered throughout all the CodeMonkey courses and how proficient each of the students are. So the more that they work throughout the platform, the more proficient they become in each of these concepts. And last but not least, this is in addition to the new student activity dashboard. This part is probably one of my favorites and ones that I love to share with teachers is in the courses. So I'm in the classroom page itself, and now I click on the courses tab. And here we have all of the courses that are available to you. If something is not, it will be grayed out and you'll know pretty easily here. But what's really great about this is the tiling that the students see. Just keep in mind the students, they see this banner here at the top. They don't see the specific grade levels or anything when you're on the course page, but it tells you which specific grades it's best for. That does not mean that any of the courses, something to keep in mind about CodeMonkey courses is that they can be utilized for many different grade levels. These are the suggested ones. So if you have a student who's a struggling coder, I know that one of our teachers here on the call has used this with some of her, special ed students. She teaches middle school, and the Beaver Achiever courses she uses for the younger ones. So just know that you have that available to, if that's available to you, that you can kind of vary and differentiate that way. But here you can see the specific grade that it's associated with, how many lesson plans there are, and what device it's best used on, or what device it's available on. So you'll see here when we get to the more text-based courses that it's only web-based version. So it's just good for you to kind of have a quick overview to know, okay, which device can my students use for this specific course itself. When you click on read more here, you're able to see just a summary of what the students will be going over. But what I find to be the most beneficial here is the specific coding concepts that the students will be working on. So you can say, you're setting your planning for this semester and you're saying, okay, my students are going to get to for loops. And I know this because they're going to finish part 1 of Coding Adventure. Then when you click on the specific standards here, this is going to take you specific to the standards that we have. These are associated with the CSTA and Common Core standards. And it's going to give you an overview of the specific standards that are available for that specific course. If you need something more robust than that, you can just ask a member of our team and we'll give you a more customized report for you. And then you can also access the lesson plans here. So how cool is it that you don't really have to leave this screen specifically and you're navigating right here and have access to those lesson plans. So we hope that those features on the teacher side really help just make things a little bit easier when you're live in action teaching with students, whether remote or in a hybrid setting or full in person, as we hope to be able to do this year. So some administration capabilities. We have improved upon our Clever and Google integration. We know that Google is making a few changes this summer with some of their rostering capabilities and their full integration with Clever. But now you can actually import multiple classrooms. And so Dora is going to share this article with you here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. So when I'm here, I'm going to go back to my classrooms page. So I'm going to click on the classrooms page. And when I go to create a classroom here, you can import from Google. Now, if I'm synced with Clever, it's going to say import from Clever. And before, you used to have to, I had a teacher who had 30 classrooms, and so she was having to import those one by one. And so now what's really great is that you can actually import all of your classrooms all at once, make sure they tie it to a specific subscription, And we do have this school optional. If you do see this here, you can select your school as well. And then you just make sure that you're attaching these classrooms to the specific school. And then once that happens, then they'll just import the classrooms right here for you. So makes your life a little bit easier. And so you see this message because I don't have students rostered in there. But once they are, then it'll just populate right here for you, and it makes your life so much easier. If you're still not using Google Classroom, then you can still, just have the students join via a classroom code. And then something else is this the student bulk actions archive. So let's talk about that. So now I'm in my, close out some of these windows here. Now I am in my classrooms page here, and I'm going to go to one of my classrooms. So I'll go to my classroom here. And then when I go to the students tab here, I can actually select this and I can archive the classroom entirely right here. I can also move students. So let's say this specific student here, I want to move this student, I can move this student to a specific classroom right here on the same page. So it makes it a little bit easier. You can also move them right here, but this bulk action makes it a little bit easier for you as well. So you can archive and move them. Now let's talk about what else we've talked about the teacher side, we've talked about some administration side. Let's go ahead and talk about the student-facing design. So we are going to go through all of these here, saving draft solutions, the coding adventure visualizations, and then we just talked about the course page, progress, assign, and unassigned. So let's talk about the draft solution. So previously in any of the courses themselves, when you would be in a course, the student would be working on a solution, and the end of the class would happen and the solution would not be saved. And so unless they had submitted it prior to that. So now when you're working on a specific challenge within a course and the student is unable to finish it. So let's go to a challenge that I haven't done here. And I just have a step here. And I have my solution here. Once I leave from this challenge, so I go to a different challenge, I'm able to return back to this, and it's able to save my draft solution. So it will show a banner at the top, and it will say show draft solution. So just something that makes it a little bit easier for students and causes a little less frustration when they come back to it and they've been working on something and the time is done. So you can see here, it says you have a draft solution. So now I can show the draft from what I had previously. Now in Coding Adventure itself, previously in variables is always a tricky thing for students to kind of grasp, whether they're working in a math classroom or specifically when they're doing some programming themselves. So we have introduced this visualization. And so before, we know that a variable stands for something and we could see the monkey running, but now we specifically can see here at the bottom, we see what the starting variable value is, and now the students can actually see the value changing. This is true for in challenge 80+, when they get to defining functions, they're able to actually see where specifically is the monkey going. So I'll show you this as well. So it's nice for the students to see not only the additive pattern working, but also to see what the value of the variable and how the variable is changing itself. When I go to challenge 80, which is when they get really introduced to functions themselves, we'll see here we have defined functions. And so we have this, well, what does go to mean? A lot of times students don't really understand this concept of defining functions. And so now we can see that A is representing the bridge, it's representing the match, it's whatever object the rat is actually running to there. So it's nice, it's just an extra feature for the students to really understand those more abstract concepts. And then we just talked about the course page itself. Okay, so now let's talk about some, I guess I'll pause and see if there's been any questions. Are students able to see their dashboard, check their skills, etc.? Currently, I see that this question has been answered. It's only for the students. Students cannot see their own dashboard, but that's something we're definitely open to bringing to the team and sharing their suggestions with our team. Okay, so now let's talk about some news and notes. So the block-based game builder, I'm going to show you this here in just a second. It is open right now for beta version. Right now it's just open to kind of test, but the full launch with lesson plans and things will be available in the fall for you with the return of school, and that'll just be added right to your subscription that you already have. We're also going to be adding Beaver Achiever lesson plans. We know that the lesson plan, there are lesson plans there right now, but they will follow the same structure as all of the other lesson plans that we have throughout all of the CodeMonkey courses. And so we'll have that for all 115 challenges and some extension activities, which are going to be really fun related to the block-based game builder. And then at the end of this month, on the 28th, we will be having an ambassador-led webinar. And so the teachers will be discussing about building collaboration, whether in a classroom setting or in a hybrid model, and just best practices for that and what it looks like using the CodeMonkey platform. So now let's take a look at our game builder platform and how do you even get there. So to get to the game builder block-based course, you'll go into the courses itself. And right now, when you go to create a game, you will click start coding. And right here, it says select a coding language. And so you can either select the text-based, which we've been used to, or you can select block-based. And when you do, you have those same sort of functionality, the same templates that we've had in previous years. And then when you click on select, it will take you here. Remember, this is still the beta version and isn't the final release yet, but will be finally released. So we do have pretty much most things here will stay remotely the same. It looks exactly like the game builder did previously, where you have the text editor in the center. On the right-hand side, you have the stage and where you can add the widgets and the sounds and all of that good stuff. And then over here on the left-hand side, in the text-based version, they run along the bottom and you're able to see the text itself. But instead here, when I click on movement, I can, first I need to add a sprite. So when I add my sprite here, when I click run, what do I want to have happen? I want him to step 1. And so you can change the value there. So just a little bit easier functionality for when the students are working. Sometimes the text-based can be a little bit tricky. So this is a little bit more differentiation and we'll hopefully make it, we're just really excited about this and we think the students are going to be excited about it too. So you have the different widgets here and you have the different game sounds and logic. And so everything ties to what it is that they're doing with the sprites and the widgets and the sounds and those types of things are all available here, like you would add them. And then you have those variabilities there. So now we really wanted to go over the new features and things that we have coming up for the fall and to share some of the product updates and things that we've made changes from your feedback this year. So we wanted to take some time and see if you have any Q&A, any questions that we can hopefully answer. And then we are going to share a survey with you here in just a minute, in addition to the webinar survey itself, but just about some feedback and some different things that we hope that we know you're probably looking for. Dora, have you seen any questions come through?
No, so there was only the one that
okay.
is answered.
All right.
If anyone wanna unmute himself and ask a question, please do so.
Yes, you can raise your hand there, and then we will allow you to chat with us. Can I share what the students see? Sure. Let me just pause share my screen here and then go to a student view. Okay, so here I am logged in as a student. This student is, this student has all of the courses assigned to them, as most of the courses assigned to them as this is part of a teacher training workshop. But when the students, oh, something I forgot to mention is now at the top of the screen here, when the students log in, they're able to see the current course that they're working on and how much progress there has been. That's something I forgot to mention earlier. And so they can see that there. And then all of the courses that have been assigned to the teacher, assigned by your teacher, you can see them up here. And anything that they don't have access to is down here below. So they're able to see that these are ones that they are not able to see. Now, a question comes in a lot of times is, why do I see that I've assigned both of the banana tails, but part 2 is locked? So part 2 is locked because they need to finish part 1 prior to getting to part 2. This is the same thing with the Beaver Achiever or Coding Adventure. So if you assign all 3 Coding Adventure courses, they will only be able to access them as they complete the challenges and get there. So if you assign part 3 of Beaver Achiever, but they haven't done part 1 or part 2, it is something that they will need to do prior in order to access that course. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're kind of working there. And so this is what the students will see. They'll see where they are progress wise, and they're able to continue where they last left off. Their creations are located here, so they're able to see their specific games and challenges that they've created, as well as the games and challenges that have been created for the classroom. And so they're able to see those right here. And then the Discover, remember, as a teacher, you can turn that on or off, and that's in the, I can show you where that's located. And you can turn these games and challenges on or off. If you turn it off, so I will do this by going to the showroom in my classroom page. So I'm on my classrooms. I just want to show you this briefly. I go to my classrooms and I'm in the showroom here. And I can just disable the Discover. And so when I disable the Discover now, let me reshare here this other window of the student. And now when we're on the student page, you can see that the Discover has gone away. So they're only able to see their courses and their creations and articles in the Help Center. So they are able to see those coding concepts, pulling those coding concepts from Coding Adventure. And there's also Banana Tails coding concepts as well. And so they're right here for the students to access. So they can access the articles within the Help Center. So I hope that helped to answer your question. Will we be able to generate individual reports? At this time, we don't have that feature, something we can definitely bring back to our team. But right now we don't have the ability to generate individual reports. You're only able to see those reports in the classroom dashboard itself, in the classroom progress page itself. So I'll show you that one more time here. And so you can see that banner right here at the top, but if I go into my classrooms page itself and I click on the page here, and then I click on the specific student, I am able to see their specific progress. Can't unfortunately pull specific reports, but when you export the data to a CSV file, you can see this a lot more robust and see this amount of solutions and different things that have been created right there for you. Okay, so just to, just pause share for a second. So just to recap, today we talked about the new content. So the addition to the Beaver Achiever, the space adventure that's available to you, as well as the new block-based game builder course. Some of the teacher capabilities, so that's being able to see individual progress, generating specific CSV reports, specific to course or by activity. And then being able to move students from classroom to classroom, the new import all feature for Google Classroom, what the students are able to see there, and the kind of the design there for the students. And then the upcoming webinar that we do have coming at the end of this month. So before we wrap up today, since it seems like we've wrapped up the questions here, we do have a link to our survey here. And so this survey here is to gather information. So some of the suggestions that you had all here might be a great place to go ahead and put that right into the survey of the suggestions that you'll have. If you have anything specific that we didn't answer for today, we hope that you, and I know that Dor is dropping this into, we're going to drop this in here for you for the survey. So the survey right there will take you to, we really appreciate you taking the time to get your feedback about some things, and we take your feedback and we bring it to the team. So all of the surveys that we send out, anything that we do, that's how we make these products. That's how we make the product updates and changes and things like that based on your feedback. Or if we know something is really amazing, we also know that from your feedback too. So it's just very valuable information, and we very much value you and your feedback. And it just lets us know any future changes and things that you would like as well. So we will just want to thank you so much for taking time out of, most of you are on summer break, for spending your time with us today. Remember to follow us on all of our social channels for updates and news and notes and anything. We've been doing teacher chats once a month on Tuesdays. So be sure to check out that and make sure to join us. And be sure to reach out with any questions that you have. We are here to help you have the best teaching experience possible while using CodeMonkey. And from our team to yours, we want to thank you for all that you do today, tomorrow, and all the days in between to get your students future ready. Remember, as always, to write code, catch bananas, and save the world. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.